It's been a while since I've seen the musical, but if I remember correctly, it had very few in the way of hiccups. After all, we've been shown the real potential that dedicated fans have.
I'm certainly wouldn't do something as boneheaded as, say, spoil several major plot twists in the opening credits. Oh, what were they thinking? Before the musical even actually starts, they already show the audience the faces of Asgore and... Oh no. That's a lot of censor bars. For the sake of preserving that plot point, I'll be calling that character the Old Dream Lord. People who've beaten the game before will know what I'm talking about. Having said that, I advise caution. This analysis will have spoilers for Undertale. I'm going to assume you have either played the game, or watched the musical, or at least a Let's Play. But I will continue to censor most visual spoilers as well as some of the more major things just in case. Of course, what does it actually mean for them to spoil these things? What is a spoiler in this context? One could see the musical without having played the game and could easily say that these aren't spoilers because this is clearly when they're supposed to show up. In the musical. But as an adaptation of Undertale that attempts to tell the same story as Undertale, it is obligated to keep that story and all of its beats intact. So, for the purpose of this analysis, a spoiler is a plot point or character that is revealed in the musical before it is normally revealed in the game from which it is adapted. Now, I understand that this is, for lack of a better word, a movie adaptation of a video game. But when what a character looks like is a plot twist, then that needs to be preserved, and even more so when their name is a plot twist. You need to credit everyone who worked on the project, that's fine, I get it, but when it comes to situations like this, then the credits are probably best saved for the credits. So just skip to 2:32 into the musical and avoid watching the opening credits altogether, right? Easy fix? No. That doesn't matter. And not because skipping the opening credits would mean that they're still there and that doesn't solve the problem, but even if they weren't, and even if it did, then the effort of skipping that little into the video would be wasted. The old Dreamlord's face is revealed before the end of the first chapter anyway, and Asgore's face is revealed in the middle of chapter 3! Not to mention, literally the first thing that happens is a spoiler. During Flowey's introduction number, well, without giving too much away, love is an acronym. And I'm not going to reveal what it stands for here, but they did. And that's a problem. Along with that, as little as the first chapter reveals the connections that characters like the old Dreamlord and Flowey have with other characters, especially with Flowey, who says something so incriminating I'm surprised they let that line slide. To be fair, a similar line was said in the game, but not to this level of unsubtlety. In the game, Flowey gives you a hint as to his master plan. In the musical, he just straight up tells you. The anticlimactic reveals of Asgore and the old Dreamlord aren't the only faces that are revealed too early, nor are they the only instance of something being revealed in the musical before it is in the game. They are simply the biggest offenders. The problem with Asgore is that they hired an actor to voice him in this project, and if the man on the internet crew is anything like me, they probably wanted to make sure that he had a decently sized part for the role, which is a little difficult when characters are supposed to remain hidden until a certain point. But this could have been worked around. They could have had Asgore sing his leitmotif throughout the musical like they already do, but without showing his face on those occasions. This could have worked as an addition to him being mentioned by name only like he was throughout the game. They could have built him up with this name and this voice, then finally revealed his face during the number Undertale.
So much blood, so much pain, just to see the sun again. One day soon, freedom shall ring, so proclaims the mountain king.
That's still earlier than his reveal in the game, but I think that's close enough to the actual moment that it would work for the adaptation. That's about it for those characters, but there's one other character I wanted to talk about. This isn't a major issue like Asgore's reveal, but I still feel it's worth mentioning. You see, there's this character named Dr. Alphys. Oh god, Alphys. What have they done to you? Now, I may be a bit biased because Alphys is my favorite character from the game, and I could go on about how they messed this up, but I'll skip to the main issue. Long story short, Alphys is the love interest to one of the other characters. In the game, should the player pick the right dialogue option, they are told who that love interest is. But in the musical, the scene where you would find that dialogue option is all but skipped, and unlike the game, where you could find or miss this dialogue and the game would keep going as normal, the musical decides that this is something all-important that needs to be given to the audience. In the game, the player is told that Alphys has a love interest, but they must answer a question in order to find out who it is. If the player guesses, then they have a 25% chance of getting it right. The deal with that is that this plot point is better, objectively, from a writing standpoint, if the player guesses wrong. I feel that this is because this isn't the only way to get this answer. The answer of who Alphys' love interest is gets revealed later in the story anyway, so getting the question wrong allows for a level of build-up, mystery, then payoff when the answer is finally revealed. The musical, of course, due to the nature of being a movie, doesn't give the audience that choice, that chance, instead opting to go for the 25% and give the answer to the viewers. I know that this is a minor issue, but in a musical adaptation where you, quote, removed anything that didn't move the plot forward, why did you write it so that this plot point, for all intents and purposes, is revealed twice? I'm not making that up, by the way, he actually said it, and none of this even crossed my mind until he did.
I selected songs to fit this story, and as I've explained before, I didn't include anything that didn't advance the plot.
If what this video says is true, then these premature reveals were a mistake. The story of the musical, as I said, should have preserved these reveals until the point where they would have appeared in the game. If I'm reading this right, if this was done so that people who couldn't otherwise could experience the story of Undertale, then regardless of the fact that it's being adapted into a musical, you should have tried to keep the experience as intact as possible. As it stands, the musical is an almost one-to-one port of the story from the game. But given the context, there are many scenarios in which the audience will know something that the main character doesn't. And that's a problem if the audience is supposed to identify with the main character. This is a difficult trope to work with, but I have seen it done well. In Beauty and the Beast, for example, the audience learns of Gaston's nefarious plans before Belle does, and this doesn't hurt the story of the movie. But it's incredibly hard to get this right, which is why I tend to avoid it in my own writing. Get used to that, by the way. I'm probably going to be referencing Beauty and the Beast a lot as this series goes on.
Everyone knows her father's a lunatic. He was in here tonight, raving.
What Alex says and what the musical shows contradict each other. Alex says that Undertale the Musical was made so that people who couldn't or wouldn't play video games could experience Undertale's story. But what the musical actually is a passion project made by fans for fans. Existing fans. And all of the spoilers I mentioned earlier can all be traced to one thing. Fan service. The art of Asgore and the Old Dreamlord appearing in the opening credits, hearing these voices sing to the tunes of their songs from the game, it's all fan service. Which is great. For the fans of the game. But if this is going to be advertised as an alternative to the game for someone who can't find the time to or simply can't play Undertale, then this is not the way to tell the Undertale. I know that as an adaptation, the experience isn't going to truly be one-to-one, but when a person who's only played the game brings up how astonished he was when he finally saw Asgore, and a guy who's only seen the musical has no idea what he's talking about, then the experience has changed too much.